Prabhuji. Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ritesh Prabhu. Hare Bol to all the devotees who led the chanting this morning. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada will start with Mangalacharan, followed by our prayers and then reading from Shri Prabhupada Lilamrit. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminate Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatade Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Here. So this week, as we said yesterday, is the very auspicious week of Sri Balaram Purnima. So we are glorifying Balaramji through this wonderful prayer composed by Shri Vyasadeva. So let me share the screen here and then we'll continue. Okay, so this is Balabhadra Stotra Kavach by Shri Vyasadeva. So we'll recite this prayer and then we'll read the translations. So we are singing this in the same meter as our Mangalarti. Goloka Dhamadhipati Parishvara Pareshu Mam Patu Pavitra Kirtana Bhumandalam Sarshapavad Vilakshati Yanmurdhni Mam Patu Sabhumi Mandale Senasu Mam Rakshatu Shirapanir Yuddhe Sada Rakshatu Mam Halicha Durgeshu Chavyan Musali Sada Mam Vaneshu Sankarshana Adidevaha Kalinda Javegaharo Jaleshu Nilambaro Rakshatu Mam Sadagnau Vayau Charamo Vatukhe Balascha Maharnavenantava Pusadamam Shri Vasudevo Vatu Parvateshu Sahasra Shirsha Cha Mahavivade Rogeshu Mam Rakshatu Rohineyo Mam Kama Palo Vatu Vavipatsu Kamat Sada Rakshatu Dhenukari Krodhat Sada Mam Dvivida Prahari Lobhat Sada Rakshatu Balvalari Mohat Sada Mam Kila Magadhari Prata Sada Rakshatu Vrashnidhurya Prane Sada Mam Mathura Purendra Madhyandine Gopasakha Prapatu Swarat Parane Vatu Mam Sadaiva Sayam Fanindro Vatu Mam Sadaiva Parat Paro Rakshatu Mam Pradoshe Purne Nishithe Chaduranta Virya Pratyusha Kale Vatu Mam Sadaiva Vedikshu Mam Rakshatu Revati Patir Dikshu Pralambarir Adho Yadudvaha Urdhvam Sada Mam Balabhadra Arat Tatha Samantat Baladeva Evahi Anta Sada Vyat Purushottamo Bahir Nagendra Lilo Vatu Mam Mahabalaha Sadantaratma Chavasan Hari Swayam Prapatu Purna Parameshwaro Mahan Devasuranam Bhayanashanam Cha Hutashanam Papachayendananam Vinashanam Vighnaghatasya Viddhi Siddhasanam Varna Parambalasya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Balabhadra Stotra Kavach ki jai, Shri Vyasadev ki jai, Jagadguru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, anybody would like to read the translation today?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Kishori Mataji. Yes, please.
May Lord Balaram, who is the master of Goloka, who is the supreme controller of all controllers, and whose fame is spotless, protect me. May Lord Balaram, who on his head holds the earth as if it were a single mustard seed, protect me in this world. May Lord Balaram protect me when I am surrounded by many armies. May Lord Balaram, who holds a plow, always protect me in battle. May Lord Balaram, who holds a club, always protect me in many fortresses. May Lord Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, protect me in the forest. May Lord Balaram, who wears blue garments and who stopped the Yamuna, always protect me in fire. May Lord Balaram protect me in the wind. May Lord Balaram protect me in the sky. May Lord Balaram, who is Lord Ananta himself, always protect me in the great ocean. May Lord Balaram, who is Vasudev's son, protect me on mountains. May Lord Balaram, who has 1,000 heads, protect me in great disputes. May Lord Balaram, who is Rohini's son, protect me from disease. May Lord Balaram, who fulfills desires, protect me from catastrophe. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Dhenukasura, always protect me from lust. May Lord Balaram, who killed Ipida, always protect me from anger. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Balvala, always protect me from greed. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Jarasandha, always protect me from illusion. May Lord Balaram, who is the best of the Vrishnis, always protect me at sunrise. May Lord Balaram, who is the king of Mathura city, always protect me in the morning. May Lord Balaram, who is the friend of the Gopas, always protect me at midday. May Lord Balaram, who is supremely independent, always protect me in the afternoon. May Lord Balaram, who is the king of serpents, always protect me at sunset. May Lord Balaram, who is greater than the greatest, always protect me in the evening. May Lord Balaram, whose power is invincible, always protect me in the middle of the night. May Lord Balaram always protect me at every sunrise. May Lord Balaram, who is the master of Revati, protect me from every direction. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Pralamba, protect me from every direction. May Lord Balaram, who is the best of the Yadavas, protect me from below. May Lord Balaram always protect me from above. May Lord Balaram protect me from near and far. May Lord Balaram protect me everywhere. May Lord Balaram, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, always protect me from within. May powerful Lord Balaram, who enjoys pastimes as the King of Serpents, protect me from without. May Lord Balaram, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul residing in everyone's heart, always protect me. Please know that this Kavacha of Lord Balaram is the best of armors. It destroys the fears of the demigods and demons. It is a blazing fire that burns up the fuel of a host of sins. It is the death of a host of obstacles. It is the abode of spiritual perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kishori Mataji. Yes, wonderful prayer seeking protection from the Lord of the Protection, Shri Balaramji, who's none other than Krishna himself. So, yeah, we see wonderful, again, like we were saying yesterday, the devotees seek protection through the Lord. And yesterday we were reading from Prabhupada Lilamrit, how Prabhupada was talking about the moon landing, right? And it is funny that I don't know. I think I've seen few NASA landings and all, but generally in ISRO they'll be praying. So if the astronauts are so some of them, of course, there may be some. There's always a mixed bag. There are some who believe in God, some who don't. Some scientists are so proud that they feel like everything is done by them without any due credit to the source of their intelligence. But yeah, we see even at least those who are favorable, they are praying, right? So they are praying that whatever their mission is, landing or coming back into the earth, is successful. So that is true intelligence. If you remember that end of the day, everything is in the Lord's hands, and we seek protection at the lotus feet of the Lord. So Prabhupada was saying about moon landing yesterday, and he didn't really. He said that we cannot reach moon in this body, but it is because it's a place of higher celestial beings, and kind of similarly, this is like we were saying, even Vyasadeva and all the other. There are Chiranjeevis. They say Chiranjeevis are immortals who live forever. So Vyasadeva, who compiled this, like we were saying, is also an immortal. Right? They are there in the Himalayas. There are many such Chiranjeevis who are there in the Himalayas. It's not that we can, even though we go to Himalayas for trekking and for hiking and everything, people go there, but it's not that everybody is able to meet such higher powers, celestial beings. It's only in spirit we can see them, right? Not through our material means. So similarly, I think that's the spirit that Prabhupada is saying, that even though we may go there mechanically, that there's no point of going there, but those who are serving the Lord, we have an easy journey to other planets wherever we can go. And anyway, Prabhupada is continuing to talk to George, and George is very favorable, as we saw yesterday, versus John Lennon, who is very talented, yet at the same time little attached to his material belongings and material success. So anyway, so we'll continuing on chapter 30. Anybody like to read today? Okay, then I'll continue. So we are reading from this section. Prabhupada kept his visit short, so he's still at the Beatles' place in Tittenhurst. So I'll continue. Prabhupada kept his visit short. As he was leaving, he saw on the wall framed life-size photos of John and Yoko naked. He also saw black and white silhouettes of man and women in various positions of sexual intercourse. On returning to his room, he commented, "It is not good for us to continue staying here." He asked Mukunda to find him an apartment in London. The Bury Place renovations were still incomplete, and Prabhupada said he preferred to be in the city so that he could oversee the work. The natural setting of Tittenhurst was pleasant, but Prabhupada's host's way of life and his were incompatible. One day, John and Yoko, dressed in black, came to visit Prabhupada. Acknowledging him to be a great yogi with mystic power, they asked him to use his powers to arrange with Krishna that they be reunited after death. Prabhupada was disappointed. This is not my business, he said. Krishna provides you with life, and he takes it away in the form of death. It is impossible that you can be united after death. When you go back home, back to Godhead, you can be united with Krishna. But husband and wife, this is simply a mundane relationship. It ends with the body at the time of death. You cannot pick up this kind of relationship again after death. At one end of the estate lived a bricklayer and his wife in a small, neglected Georgian house. Hired by John to build a recording studio on the property, the bricklayer had only recently moved to Tittenhurst. A tough, burly man, he never spoke to the devotees until one day he asked several of them if they believed in ghosts. "Oh yes," Kulashekara said. "Prabhupada says there are ghosts." "I don't believe," the bricklayer said. "My wife is having dreams, but I don't believe in ghosts." The bricklayer's wife revealed that both she and her husband had been hearing something at night. Last night they had gone running to John Lennon's house, terrified, complaining of sounds, chains rattling, boot heels pounding, and the noise of something like a body being dragged across the floor. The bricklayer had seen his wife violently shaken by the shoulders, although no one else was there. When the devotees told Prabhupada, he said, "You tell John Lennon that if he wants, we can get rid of these ghosts." Mukunda relayed the message, but John had already invited his friend, a white witch, to come and exorcise the ghost. The warlock visited the bricklayer's cottage, and a few devotees tagged along. Over the fireplace in the main room, they found a carving of a person with a ghost coming out of his forehead, and on the opposite wall, mahogany runes. "These are ancient witch runes," the warlock said, shaking his head. "I can't do anything here." When John asked the devotees to try their method, Prabhupada directed them. At the bricklayer's cottage, they should sprinkle water offered to Krishna in the doorways, blow conch shells, and then have kirtana. A group of devotees went, and Kulashekara led the kirtan. After half an hour of chanting, Kulashekara felt a great release of pressure within the room, and the kirtana became ecstatic. The devotees returned to their engagements, assuring John that the ghosts would not return, and the bricklayer and his wife moved in again. The next morning, Prabhupada passed the old cottage on his walk. "So, how is the ghost?" he asked. "No news, Prabhupada," Kulashekara replied. The following morning, Prabhupada asked again, "How is the ghost? Would they like to have him back?" Years ago in India, Prabhupada said when he was running his chemical business, he had detected ghosts in the building at night. "What did you do?" one of the devotees asked. "I simply chanted Hare Krishna, and the ghosts would go away." Prabhupada then opened his eyes wide and gestured with both hands, mimicking the frightened workers in the plant who had come running to him. "Babaji, Babaji, that is ghost, that is ghost," the devotees laughed. Actually, Prabhupada said, there are many ghosts here, especially over by the stable areas. They are attached to this place, but they will not harm you if you just chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada was anxious to leave Tittenhurst, and by late October, some of the devotees had moved to Bury Place. Prabhupada no longer had any business at Tittenhurst. Mr. Lennon was an influential person who had seemed interested in Krishna, but now there was no point in Prabhupada staying on at the estate. Yoko and her ex-husband Dan, now John's manager, were also pressing John to be rid of the devotees. Dan complained that the devotees were trying to take over the place. The devotees, on the other hand, complained to John that Dan and Yoko were misrepresenting them. On one side were Dan and Yoko, on the other the devotees. John was in the middle. He had to choose. John told Mukunda that as far as he was concerned, he got along fine with the devotees, but the people around him were having difficulty. He would give the devotees a couple more weeks to move to the new temple in the city. The devotees were already in the process of moving to Bury Place, and Mukunda had found an apartment for Prabhupada a short drive from the temple. In a few days, everything would be ready for Prabhupada to move. On the day Prabhupada left Tittenhurst, he stopped at his car and said, "I want to say goodbye to a few friends first." He then took a last walk through the grounds, giving careful attention to the trees, sometimes touching their leaves, just as on his morning walks. Then he left. The next day, a severe storm swept through the Tittenhurst estate, breaking windows and uprooting trees. November 3rd, 1969. Prabhupada moved into his furnished apartment on Baker Street, a 10-minute drive from the Bury Place temple. After 2 months in London, he was anxious to see his temple open, and Shyamsundara was working hard, although progressing slowly. For the temple's interior, Shyamsundara had an artist concept taken from photographs he had seen of the Ajanta caves, South Indian temples with walls and ceilings of carved stone. His inspiration was to produce a similar effect using California redwood he and Mukunda had shipped to England a year ago. On first hearing the plans, Prabhupada had asked, "Why make it so artistic?" But Shyamsundara had been so set on the idea that Prabhupada had permitted him. With the ceiling partly finished, there was no turning back. Shyamsundara toiled day and night, yet each day the temple design seemed to grow more elaborate, with the walls and floor fashioned of solid redwood, and the ceiling lined with redwood arches. Shyamsundara took great care to see that each piece fit exactly into place. As Shyamsundara inched along, devotees joked that the room looked like an upside-down boat, but Prabhupada encouraged him, telling him it was very beautiful. Prabhupada often allowed his disciples to work as they liked. He reasoned that they were raising the money and could spend it in Krishna's service as they pleased. He also did not care to interfere in every detail of a disciple's service, especially when that disciple was strong-headed and had ideas that were not harmful or obstructive. All Prabhupada's disciples were ultimately under his absolute decision, but he was often lenient, 80% lenient, he would say sometimes. Shyamsundara particularly thrived on having his own big projects. He had arranged for the Mantra rock dance in San Francisco, built the first Rath Yatra carts, established a friendship with George Harrison, and now he was designing a temple. Prabhupada allowed it, watchfully, like a father. Consulting the Vedic calendar, Prabhupada chose December 14 for the temple opening celebration. And despite predictions from Shamsundara and others that the deadline would be impossible to meet, Prabhupada ordered invitations printed immediately. The devotees had tremendous work to do and little time. Not only did they have the temple to complete, but also Prabhupada's quarters on the second floor and the kitchen in the basement. Faced with a tight deadline, they worked harder. As Prabhupada was anxious about the temple opening, he was also anxious about publishing the first volume of Krishna, but he had no money. According to printers' estimates, the book could cost about $19,000. Prabhupada told Shamsundara to ask his friend George for a donation. Shamsundara, who had always been careful not to ask George for money, was hesitant, but Prabhupada insisted and Shamsundara gave in. George agreed, but regretted it afterward. Then Shamsundara began to feel sorry. After all, he hadn't really wanted to ask George, and George hadn't really wanted to be asked. When Prabhupada heard of this, he invited George to see him. George told Prabhupada that every day people were asking him for his money, but when Prabhupada explained the importance of the Krishna book and how George's donation would be devotional service to Krishna, George dismissed his regrets. He also agreed to write a foreword to the volume. George: I didn't really think I was qualified to write the foreword to Prabhupada's book. But one way of looking at it is because I am known, it would help. But from the other point of view, it could really hinder because not everyone wants to listen or to believe what I say. There are a lot of people who would be put off just because I am saying it. I mean, if I picked up a book on Krishna and the foreword was written by Frank Zappa or somebody like that, I would think, God, maybe I don't want to know about it. So I thought that although he asked me, Prabhupada didn't really Maybe Prabhupada didn't really want me to write the foreword, but it was one of those things I couldn't get out of. Everybody had their minds made up. You are writing the foreword, and that's it. So I just did it. When Srila Prabhupada asked to watch the moon landing, the devotees rented a television and placed it in Prabhupada's living room. Prabhupada took his massage as usual, sitting in a chair before the television. Purushottama announced, Well, Prabhupada, it's about time, so I'll turn on the television, and soon we will be getting some pictures from the astronauts out in space. A reporter was speaking from Cape Canaveral, Florida. We are just about to get the first pictures of this historic occasion. The picture appeared fuzzy, then cleared. The spacecraft had landed on the moon. As the astronauts emerged from the ship, they slowly eased themselves down onto the moon's surface. Purushottama was in ecstasy. Dhananjaya: I was attempting to massage Prabhupada's head and at that same time watch the program. All of a sudden, as the men were landing, Prabhupada motioned for me to sit in front of him. So I came around. As soon as I sat down, Prabhupada started to massage my head. I was quite embarrassed. You have forgotten how to massage properly? He asked. This is how you do it. He massaged my head for about 2 minutes. Then I stood behind Prabhupada and again began massaging his head. By this time, the astronauts were moving across the landscape. They had gotten out their little American flag and were sticking it in the ground and were jumping up and down. Apparently, they were defying gravity because every time they jumped up, they would float through the air and then gently land again. There was a lot of jubilation and sounds from them. So, Purushottam, Prabhupada asked, they have come to the moon. Yes, Prabhupada, Purushottama said excitedly. They've landed on the moon. Prabhupada smiled. Dhananjaya. Again, Prabhupada motioned to me to the front. I moved around and sat down. I thought he wanted me to massage him from the front, but again he put his hands on my head and massaged. He said, Can't you learn this simple thing, massaging my head? I had been watching the television and not giving my full attention to my service. I tried again, but again Prabhupada said, You still don't know how to do this. I said, Well, Prabhupada, I'm trying my hardest. He laughed and said, That is all right. Continue. Prabhupada asked Purushottama, So what can you see? They're exploring the moon's surface, he said. So what is there? Well, it looks like they have landed inside a crater somewhere and the ground is sandy with some rocks. Oh, look, they're showing some shadows from some of the rocks that are lying around. That's all you can see? There are no people, there are no trees, there are no rivers, there are no buildings? No, Purushottama replied. The moon is barren. They have not landed on the moon, Prabhupada said emphatically. This is not the moon. Later, when Malati brought in Prabhupada's lunch, he said, What Malati has done, she has made this little khichdi for Krishna, and that is far greater than what they have done. Even though Prabhupada's quarters were incomplete and temple renovation made Seven Place noisy and hectic, Prabhupada decided to move in. I'm not attached to a comfortable apartment, he said. My attachment is to living in the association of devotees. He was moving into the temple at a time when the record sales were low and the devotees were having to purchase supplies piecemeal whenever they got money. Yet, with Prabhupada living with them and supervising their work, they were satisfied. Tamal Krishna arrived from Los Angeles, and in addition to supervising much of the construction, he began taking the devotees out daily to chant on the streets and sell Back to Godhead magazines. Yamuna was sewing curtains from morning until night. Ishana, Shamsundar, and others were working every possible hour on the renovation, and every day Prabhupada would walk through the building to see the progress. With only 1 week left until the opening, Shamsundar still labored on the temple ceiling. He had not even begun the altar. Again, the other devotees complained to Prabhupada that Shamsundar was too slow, but Prabhupada replied, he wants to make it artistic. Let him do it. Shamsundar, this time on his own, asked George for a donation for an altar. George gave 2,000 pounds, and Shamsundara picked out a slab of golden sienna marble and 2 slabs of red marble. Although Prabhupada had a pair of 17-inch carved wood deities of Radha and Krishna, he didn't plan to use them, and the size of the altar Shamsundara was building clearly required larger deities. One day, a Mr. Doyal phoned, representing a large London Hindu society. He had heard the devotees wanted Radha Krishna deities, and he had a pair he would donate. When Prabhupada heard the news, he sent Tamal Krishna, Mukunda, and Shamsundara to Mr. Doyal's home to see the deities. Radha and Krishna were white marble and stood about 3 feet high. Never before had the devotees seen such large deities, and they offered obeisances. When they returned to the temple and told Prabhupada, he said, take me there at once. Srila Prabhupada, accompanied by Shamsundar, Mukunda, and Tamal Krishna, arrived by van at Mr. Doyal's home. Prabhupada entered the living room and sat down. The deities, covered by a cloth, stood on a table in the corner. Tamal Krishna was about to unveil them when Prabhupada checked him. No, that's all right. Prabhupada sat and spoke with Mr. Doyal, asking him about his work and where he had come from in India, and he met Mr. Doyal's family. Mr. Prabhupada and his host chatted while the devotees listened. Swamiji, Mr. Doyal said at length, I want to show you my deities. Yes, Prabhupada replied, I will see them after some time. Prabhupada began to speak about his Krishna consciousness mission, and after a while Mr. Doyal again requested, please take a look at these deities. And with that, he walked over and unveiled Radha and Krishna. Oh yes, Prabhupada said, folding his hands respectfully. Mr. Doyal explained that he had ordered the deities from India for his own use, but in transit a tiny piece of Radharani's finger had chipped off. Therefore, according to Hindu tradition, the deities could not be installed. Tamal Krishna, Prabhupada said, see how heavy these deities are. Tamal Krishna, placing one hand at Radharani's base and the other around her shoulder, lifted her. Not so heavy, he said. Shamsundar, Prabhupada said, see how heavy is Krishna. The deities were actually heavy for one man to carry, but the devotees understood Prabhupada's intention. Not bad, Shamsundar said, holding Krishna a few inches off the table. Yes, Prabhupada said conclusively. I think they are all right. Let us take them. We have our van. And suddenly Prabhupada was leaving with his disciples following, carefully carrying Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada thanked Mr. Doyal. But Swamiji, protested Mr. Doyal, who was not prepared for this sudden exit. Please, we will arrange to bring them. Our society will bring them. But Prabhupada was already out the door and leading his men to the van. Please wait, Mr. Doyal persisted. We have to fix them first, then you can take them. We have an expert man, Prabhupada said. He can fix these things. Prabhupada was assuring Mr. Doyal and at the same time directing his disciples. He opened the door of the van and Shamsundar and Tamal Krishna slowly entered, cautiously setting Radha and Krishna within. Tamal Krishna knelt in the back to hold the deities secure, while Shamsundara got into the driver's seat. Now drive, Prabhupada said, and off they went, with Prabhupada smiling from the window to Mr. Doyal and his family, who stood together on the curb. Shamsundara had driven but a few blocks when Prabhupada asked him to stop the van. Turning around his seat, Prabhupada began offering prayers. Govinda Mahadipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. He looked long at Krishna, who was white with a slight bluish cast, and at the exquisite white Radharani by his side. Krishna is so kind, he said. He has come like this. Then he had Shamsundar continue driving slowly back to the temple. Carefully, Prabhupada supervised his disciples carrying the deities up to the second floor. The devotees were astounded and delighted to see Prabhupada in such an animated and intense state, bringing Radha and Krishna into their temple. He had the deities placed in a curtained off section of his room, and then he sat at his desk. Okay, so we'll continue from here tomorrow. God's smile. We'll pause here and we can take any reflections, any comments, anything that you like from today's reading. Yes, anybody has any thoughts? Anandini Gopika Mataji, anything you'd like to share? Okay, maybe you're away. Anybody else? No? Okay. Yeah, I was just reflecting on the story about the ghosts. Prabhupada so simply he says to his disciples to just lead Kirtana. Wonderful, like what we do. We purify ourselves with Achman. So these holy waters offered to the Lord, the Charanamrit, the Achman, sprinkling some water and blowing conch shell. Like we say, blowing conch shell is also good medically for us. I remember during COVID, there was one guidance that we should blow conch shell because COVID attacks our lungs, and for those who blow conch shells, it is a natural or very Vedic and scientific way to increase increase our lungs' air capacity actually. So that was nice, and I tried that a few times, and I personally tried it, and I felt better during the COVID times. So anyway, so that sprinkling water, blowing conch shells, and leading kirtan, and then all the ghosts within half an hour they had gone away. Maybe they also. It was fascinating to see they was there after half an hour. They felt that there was some release of pressure. So for half an hour, even the ghosts probably wanted to hear the kirtan of the devotees, and they were listening to the kirtan. But ultimately, they were also purified. Maybe they went back home, back to God. They got liberated from there. But Prabhupada, as usual, how merciful he was that, those ghosts were liberated by the kirtan. And also before he left the estate at Tittenhurst, he said, I want to meet some friends. And he goes out for a final walk, and then he carefully caresses the trees and the leaves as if he was like talking to them, to the soul inside the trees, that may you be liberated, may this be your last birth. But that's how a pure devotee, Vaishnava, is full of mercy, full of compassion, not just for the human beings, but for all forms of life. And maybe that is what he was seeing as a pure devotee on the moon, when others were only seeing barren rocks. He was seeing there was life there on the moon, which others couldn't probably see. So anyway, so he didn't see that on that moon that they landed. So maybe that is Prabhupada's vision. He said they didn't really go on the moon. Okay, all right. So I think we'll pause here. Thank you so much for your kind association. If there are no other comments, then we'll conclude today's reading with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanavad Pranam.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.